Hey guys, I'm Blake and I am here to help you build a flail for your sermon series. So what we're going to look at here, first let's get to our tools. So very simple here. We're going to go with a drill. Everybody's got one. We're going to do a 1/2-inch drill bit. Pretty simple. All right, we'll get back to that in a second. Scissors, great. Just make sure they're sharp. Makes things a lot easier. Lighter, any kind, doesn't matter. Wouldn't do matches. And just some masking tape. Really, any kind of tape will work. Masking tape comes off easy, won't damage anything, so I'd stick with that. All right, so what we're gonna need is some very basic things here. So with your purchasing link that will be provided, you will find in that some 550 parachute cord. You will find a vast array of wooden handles for different farm equipment, and some shorter ones. So what we are going to do is very simple here. So we're gonna start by just cutting our cord. And all you're gonna do, this will be more than enough, you're just gonna grab one end of it and you're gonna pull an arm's length. No matter how tall you are, it's gonna work good. So that will be one cord. You're gonna cut it with your scissors and you're gonna burn the end immediately. That way you don't have all this unraveling mess when we start threading it. All right, so we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna grab one more. Now this one may need to be a little longer depending on how you choose to fashion it up at the end to look. So it's all really about the details. So you can go one length. I chose to go 2 arm lengths, all right? And then cut it for this second one. So same thing again, we're gonna cut it with our scissors and we're gonna burn the end just so it doesn't unravel. All right, now we're off to the races with our handles, okay? So we're gonna grab our handles. What I have here is I have 2 that I picked up from a local hardware store. They're not hard to find. You can choose whichever you like the look of. It doesn't really matter. This one is a shovel handle, I believe, or a rake handle. And then this one is more, if you've ever seen post hole diggers, this is a post hole digger handle, all right? So I like the look of this one, so I got one like this just because it had some extra shape to it. But anything will work. The one thing I will caution you on is make sure you get a proper length to where, see, this is, as you can see with this one, it's going to be attached and it's going to swing around. You do not want this top part coming back to hit your hands while you're swinging it. So we want to make sure that the added length of the rope and this guy coming down is going to clear your hand, okay? That's very important. We don't want bloody nickels on the stage. All right, so from there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our 1/2-inch drill bit, okay? And we're gonna take our masking tape, okay? Now the masking tape is particularly important with this one. This one we have provided in your link, your kit, if you will, is a little bit softer, okay? It's a little easier to break, a little easier to splinter. So we're gonna use our tape on this. What we're gonna do is, again, this is more important than it seems, but we are gonna tape the sides of this, okay? The reason being is because the wood is so soft on these ones we provided, they'll work great. You can hit stuff with it. This end was meant to be replaceable in the actual farm tool, so that's fine. But what we want to do is we want to put this tape on because it will splinter like no other when we start drilling. So we want to put this tape on when we start drilling. Go very slowly because you will crack this piece if this is the specific one you get. And you want to just drill slowly through. And this tape is going to prevent it also from splintering on either side. So you get a nice clean hole. That's more than aesthetic. You don't want to be cutting your cord after multiple uses. You don't want it flying off and hitting Sister Sarah in the front. So we're gonna do that and we will get our holes there. And we're gonna do the holes the same way on the large handle. No added thought, okay? So you're just gonna do your holes. I wouldn't overthink it again. No big measurements here. I'm probably about 1 inch apart on these holes, on both of these. And one thing I did do here, just so you know, depending on what handle you get, this one was rounded on the end and we need a good square edge. So I did have to saw this off and I did just a little bit of sanding, nothing big so it wouldn't cut our rope. This one, as you can see, that was not needed. It was already squared off, so we're good there. All right. So now that we got our holes drilled, okay, we now have what you see in my hand. You have this, both with the proper holes drilled in, okay? All right, so both of these, now we're gonna start threading our ropes through, okay? And each one is gonna require a little different method. So here's where we're gonna have to just kind of lean in and pay attention to these little things. All right, so we're gonna start threading our cord now, okay? So each one of these is gonna be a little different method, okay? We're gonna start with our big handle first, okay? Our big handle first. Now, that, believe it or not, is gonna require our long cord, okay? So we're gonna grab our long cord here, and we're just gonna get our ends together, okay? That way we have a good halfway point here, all right? So if we have these ends together and we stretch that out, that's our middle, right? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are gonna start from the bottom, yes, the bottom, and we are gonna go in one side at the bottom with that loop, okay? And then we're gonna go into this top one, okay? Now here's where you're gonna need both hands. It gets a little tricky, all right? You want to pull enough through, but not too much, because we're going to have to work it back through in a minute, all right? Now, I found a lot of tools while I was building this helped out. I found a chopstick was the best, a small pencil, whatever. It doesn't matter, whatever you have on hand, but we're going to need to poke this back through, all right? So we're poking that through, work it through, and we're going to pull these two tight now, just like that. So we went in from the bottom, up through the top that way, back around through the top one again, down. And now we have this guy. We want that to be pretty tight. We're gonna keep it tight throughout the whole build. All right, now we're gonna go through the bottom one. This is where you can use your chopstick or your pencil or whatever you got. All right, now I've got this loop at the end, all right? It's very simple. All we're gonna do with this loop is we're gonna pull it over the whole thing, all right? So loop over the whole thing, all right? And then we're just gonna work our way back. So we wanna pull the slack out of this loop, okay? So we're just gonna grab here, pull that slack out of that loop. Same thing here, same thing here. Work our way back, now you're tight, okay? All right, now at this point, you can decide to do whatever you want, however much time you wanna put into it. You can leave it looking like this. I used the same method with this one. All I did was I wrapped a little extra cord to make it look like it was from the olden days, and that's about it. So if you were using this every day, I would probably do that, but in this case, it doesn't matter. All right, so what we're gonna do is you've got these cords coming out here that we just finished with. You're gonna wrap them both around the sides, and you're gonna start an overhand knot, just like you would if you're tying your shoes, okay? You can go one more time around it like this, to the other side again. One more, start an overhand knot there. Very simple. Now at this point, you can choose to tie off your knot here, be done, or you can start wrapping it up just like this. Just like you saw on the other one, and so on. You can go all the way up, and you can make it look however you want it to look. At this point, you've got enough friction where this isn't gonna fly off, so this is just the look, okay? So do whatever you want there, have fun with it. So now when we're done with this, the big one, we're gonna start with the little one, okay? The little one's gonna be very similar, okay? Except we're gonna thread it different, as I mentioned. So instead of finding the middle point, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take the end of this one, okay? Now on the last one, we had the long end on the bottom, and we started from that first hole up. We're gonna do the opposite on this one. We're gonna start with that pointy end down, and we're gonna go in that hole, and we're just gonna snake it through, just like that. Simple as that. So before we put this next end through, mirror image and snake it through, we are going to put it through this little loop we created on the top of our big handle, okay? So we're just gonna squeak it through there best we can. It's gonna be tight, and you want it to be tight, all right? Okay, so at that point, we've got our first one already through. We've run this loop, this 3 to 4 finger loop, through our handle loop that we created, our big handle loop. We're gonna take this in, and we're just gonna mirror image that snake through there, all right? And keep this loop. We wanna keep that loop long, okay? All right, once we have that through, that's what it should look like, okay? At that point, we're gonna tie our overhand knot. And we're gonna come around to the other side. And we're gonna tie our overhand knot. All right, at this point, you can choose to wrap it up and make it look however you want, or you can tie it off right there. I'm gonna tie this one off right here. All right, so now you have your flail. That's it right there, all right? So once we have everything tied off and cinched off, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna ride up next to our knot, make sure your knot, you can extra tie your knot if you want. You don't want that to come undone. Once you feel good about that knot, you don't feel like it's gonna come loose at all, you're just gonna take your scissors, you're gonna cut that very gently, let your scissors do the work. You don't wanna create a lot of fraying, and then use your lighter on the end of it, and you're good to go. And then you'll have your flail. So your finished product will look like this. And again, you can choose whichever handles you want to do that. It doesn't change the project. And we even did like a little handle here. And that's actually important because it marks where your hand needs to be, so this doesn't come down and hit your hand. So that's what you end up with right there, your flail.